Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Dusting Off Warlord Saga of the Storm, featuring a Grantuk Rageblade, a Nothrug fighter. I did do Brickta not terribly long ago, um, so yeah, I probably should have done some different faction, but I have Nothrugs on the mind right now. So um, he's also somewhat similar to Sigurdur, which I did again not very long ago. And so yeah, figured I'd go over him. So Grantuk Rageblade is a 5th level Nothrug fighter. He is evil. He's got fairly basic fighter stats: +7 attack, +3 attack for his 2 swings, 15 armor class, +6 skill, which is a little on the low end, but eh. But he does have a 4th hit point, so I've said this multiple times. Most of the warlords in the game have 3 hit points. I believe around 4th edition they started giving the fighters a 4th one, which is good. But there were a couple in the past that did have 4, and Grantuk is one of them. So that's pretty nice. He is a ranger, so that I've done Nothrug Barbarian, Nothrug Ranger. I guess all I need to do is Ragnar at some point to complete the trifecta of fighter subclasses. He may equip 2 weapons. I think that ability is kind of a trap, but I'll get into that. He has an order: spend a weapon in your army. The character it was equipped to gains an additional strike, equal to his highest base attack when he attacks until end of the turn. It is worth noting that the base of that strike is their highest base printed on their card, but they do get the bonus from any weapon they have to that, so that's pretty awesome. It is also very, very important that Grantuk, because his ability is you're using it on the weapon, this works cross faction, which yeah, that's a big deal. When I was first playing him, I was actually trying to play him as kind of a super solo, because I figured he can equip 2 weapons, and you can spend both of them to get some extra swings. Maybe have 4 or more attacks on him. I don't think that's actually very good. Like, you can do that if your back is against the wall, but for the most part, I think he works much better as a support character. And when he was released, he did get a couple other characters that also released in the same set in the Temple of Lore that I think were more or less made to work with him. You had Seneval, who I'm not running in this, but you also had Lukot Buzzsaw. This is a siege fighter with some pretty useful applications along with Grantuk. It's got 2 very high attacks, 2+7s, which are better than Grantuk's. 13 armor class, that sucks. It's got 3 hit points, which is, it's pretty nice for 4th level fighter. It can't maneuver, which is actually kind of a pain. It's kind of a pain in the ass. But it can't equip any number of weapons, but it can't equip any items but weapons. You can spend other Nothrugs in this rank to shove it forward, and that's pretty much, unless it's falling forward, that's how you're going to have to move it. And you can spend a weapon on it to make its melee strikes inflict an additional wound until the end of the turn. So if you need lots of swings, you can use Grantuk's order to spend one of the weapons. If you need quality swings that do multi-wounds, the Buzzsaw itself can use its order. And again, pretty sure this was made to work with him. I think it works very, very well with him. So when I made the step from playing him as the guy actually making the strikes up front, I had Buzzsaw, I had Egrart, and I also had, again, Seneval. But when 4th edition hit, we got a couple things that I consider pretty interesting to use with this. One of them I think is phenomenal. The other one's more cute than good until it's good, and when it's good, it's really good. But the first one is Blade Hag. Excuse me. Blade Hag. This is a promo that came out. I don't even remember when during 4th edition this came out. 4th edition's kind of a blur. It's one of the reasons why I don't really refer to the sets most of the time, because I can hardly remember the order they came out, and I was playing, but I wasn't playing a super large amount, and that was, yeah, I really, it's not that I didn't enjoy it, it's just, okay, we're gonna stop being negative. So Blade Hag has 2+0s for her attacks. She only has 10 AC. She's got +5 skill and 2 hit points. Those sets are really not very good for 4th level fighter, but she can only equip weapons, kind of like the Buzzsaw can only equip weapons. but she can have up to 4 weapons, which is not as many as Lukat Buzzsaw's unlimited weapons. But yeah, she can equip 4 of them. She also gets +3 attack and armor class for each equipped weapon. So if you get all 4 on her, she's rocking, 22 AC and 2 + 12 attacks. And again, since Grantuk's ability, it's not faction only because it's not targeting a character, it's targeting the weapon. Actually, I wonder under 4th edition rulings, or not 4th edition, under the latest rulings, I'm wondering if this actually does target the character, but it doesn't care if it's Northrug or not, so that's nice. Blayhag also starts getting other stuff once she has more weapons. She gets power attack +10 and repulse +10 if she has 3 or more weapons, and once she gets the 4th one, she gets 2 extra hit points and 2 extra levels. Those are really good, especially the hit points. The levels, you can potentially use that to equip some higher level stuff on her, because if she's level 6 in rank 4, there's not too much she can't equip. It's kind of hard to do that, and we're gonna try to take advantage of that, but we're gonna do it in a slightly different way. So basically at the moment, again, the deck is more or less built around equipping Lukat Buzzsaw and Bladehag with weapons, and there are a lot of problems with that, because again, they can't equip steeds, which, yeah, now luckily it's Northrug, so Northrugs do have lots of ways of moving you. But again, not being able to equip a Griffin, it's mostly not being able to equip Griffin or Chariot is really, it kind of sucks. The Urgarts and the Senevals, that was one advantage they did have was, yeah, I don't think they're as good, but you could give them a steed to help them get up to the front, but we're not doing that. So again, trying to use those 2 4th level fighters to get most of the work done. We're going to be starting in Uthanak's Tower next to a Yeg Igril's Altar as our level 2s, and then 3 copies of Gunda for level 1. Nothing really all that different here. The Uthanak's Tower, really this is only in here because you don't want the altar to die. Like, you kind of need the altar for some of the stuff later. And you can only play 1 because it's restricted in Ancients, which is probably fair, but really, the altar, you kill a character, it starts with 1 charge, it can't equip items, it can cast spells and play orders, which is kind of nice. You kill a character and you put charges on it equal to the level of the character, and before a character makes a melee strike roll, you can remove one of those charges, and you get +4 attack, and wounds from that strike can't be reduced. There's a lot going on with that, and they combo very, very well with the Gundas that we're starting up front. People generally don't attack Gundas that are already wounded and have reacted and are spent, and so usually at the end of the turn, they're still there, and you can kill them off to get some charges. We're also doing 3 copies of Strength. This is one of many things that probably could be something a little bit more useful. He's really just in there to buy you time, because Grantuk's tempo is really, really bad. Like, I would actually almost say it's worse than Sigurdar's. The effect is generally better, I think, but it's like you have to spend an action you have to spend the weapon, and then they get an action, and then if you have multiple weapons, you have to do that multiple times if you want the best possible value. And it's just, yeah. But Strength, I don't really have too many games where he lives to remove wounds from him. Basically, he enters play, he's stunned, and you just stun. He usually just goes to the front immediately. Like, if he's the first thing you do is play him, he's pretty much at the front. And he's got 16 armor class. You just sit there, and he soaks up hits, and you can kill him for altar charges, which is kind of nice. But because this deck is basically, this is kind of a combo deck. It's a combo deck with the cuteness that we're going to do. But for the most part, you want weapons. You want lots of them. So we have got a crap ton of card draw. We've got the Tauren because it's ancient. So, of course, there's going to be a Tauren. 3 Sathusk and 3 Kargrag to help you get some more cards. Kargrag gets you a card on the turn he enters play, if he enters play on the first turn. And then Sathusk just spend order, draw a card, which is nice. Yeah, to try to get you some sweet, sweet weapons. And what we're doing for those sweet, sweet weapons is trying to kind of double dip on Grantuk's ability, because you can spend the weapon to get an extra swing, but there are plenty of weapons that also just give you extra swings, because that's what they do. So we're doing 2 copies of Sword of the Storm, 2 copies of Axe of Turgoth, 2 copies of Makano Dijara, and 2 copies of Rapier. One of the biggest problems, it's probably ultimately, if you build this deck in the correct way, I'm gonna say right now, this is not the best way to play this, I think. One of the problems that these items have is, the Axe of Turgoth and the Makano Dijarats, these are level 7, so once you start moving forward, it's kind of hard to equip these most of the time, because the characters you want these on are only level 4. Meaning, if they've moved into rank 2 or less, unless the Plague Hag already has a bunch of gear on, she can't really equip these. But each one of these, Sword of the Storm, you have to win initiative, and it sucks that these aren't going to be on Paladins, so you're not even going to need initiative bonus. But all these are also giving you extra strikes. So, a single one of these, a single Axe of Turgoth, is going to give you 2 extra swings, assuming you're able to use Grantuk's ability to spend it before you make your attacks. Interestingly enough, too, kind of a cool interaction. The Rapier, which is not a weapon I see played too terribly often. This gives you an extra swing, but it makes you do 1 less wound to a minimum of 1. So if you were playing something like Bracers of Ogre Power, or if you're using the Lukot Buzzsaw's ability to try to increase the number of wounds you do, this is going to reduce it by 1. But the alters a text that says wounds can't be reduced. It actually applies to your own stuff too, so that will get around the wound penalty that the Rapier is giving. It's level 5, so it's like the only weapon they can really equip up front in rank 1. Reality check, this is probably not really necessary. You're probably better off playing some lower level weapons that these guys can easily equip when they're in rank 1, but between the strengths and between just all the card draw, I haven't had too many issues, although it has happened where I'm like, first turn I draw the Rapier, and the reason I'm only running 2 of these is to try to minimize the amount of duplicates I draw. Because even though you can equip a bunch of weapons, you still can't equip a weapon that has the same name as one you already have, because that's just a game rule. So yeah. Also running a copy of Sigil Sword and a copy of Great Axe. The Great Axe is just extra wounding, and Sigil Sword, this is the one that, even though it's level 7, I think it's justified, because I freaking hate the planar trait. It's absolutely terrible, and I don't like it. I don't like having all these swings and I miss half of them, even though they're like plus 30, because, oh, sorry, I'm planar, and I'm a little, yeah. So, for some extra other card draw, we have 3 copies of Loyalty's Reward and 3 copies of Meat at the Inn. One of many reasons why I think Grantuk does better as someone who's trying to enable a win instead of going for the win himself is you can play Loyalty's Reward with him. And I'm not really playing a whole bunch of ready tech in this deck, because you can run, especially because we're running the altar, you can run Decapitate with Albino Novice and or Unprepared for Battle, but so Grantuk, again, if things have gone horribly wrong, you can give him weapons, and if he doesn't die, there's really no way to buff his armor class unless he happens to be next to the Euthanax Tower. But he does swing enough times that he very much can end the game if it comes down to that. He doesn't really have a way to get to the front quickly, so yeah, it's not good. It's really not good, but it's there if it needs to be. So the rest of the deck, really, it's really stupid, but it's stupid until it's not, until it happens, and then it's like, yeah. So we are also going to be running 3 copies of Scrap Golem. This is another 4th edition character that came out, another promo character. Scrap Golem is one of the most fascinating characters, I think, in the game. So not good stats. 2+0 melee strikes, 12 armor class, no skill, 0 skill. Now it is classless, that doesn't really matter. It does have 3 hit points, which is kind of nice. Scrap Golem may equip items regardless of class, level, and trait restrictions, is one sentence on this. So under the new rules, I probably should have researched this before I did this video. I believe faction traits were actually traits for most of the game's history. That may have changed now. Maybe it could be your faction's not an actual trait. And in my play group, because again, we're a casual play group, that still applies. And so if you're equipping things like Grimsteel, or he can equip Blade of Scenery because he is a mercenary, but he can equip Grimsteel. And yeah, now the other thing that's interesting is all items equipped to him are considered blank. So he can equip anything, but the items don't do anything by virtue of their own card text, because they won't have card text with this guy. Unlike something like Wand of Negation, I actually wonder, again, I probably should have read this, there's probably an entry for the term blank in the rules, in the comprehensive rules, but unlike something like Wand of Negation, which explicitly tells you what stays on a card when you turn it off, Scrap Golem says all of his items are considered blank. I don't know if that includes the card name or not. It may and it may not. It's not super relevant, but this might be the only character in the game that can actually equip multiple copies of of the same item, and which would help if you drew a bunch of duplicates. Again, we're trying to minimize that, but so the items don't do anything based on their own text, but the final part of Scrap Golem is Scrap Golem gains +1 attack, armor class, skill, and power attack +2 for each item. So conceivably, if you do throw a bunch of items on him, you can get him. I mean, +1 attack, armor class, skill. Really, that would have been better if it had been +2 or +3. Maybe it would have been broken. I have no idea. That actually might be pretty good in general Lund, and gives you power attack. So because the sky's the limit on what do you want to give this guy, we do have a whole bunch of toys for this. We have, out of the 20th anniversary set, we have a Storm Herald's Regalia for +5 attack, +5 armor class. It's an armor, it's a gauntlet, it's a helm, it's a weapon. It's got a charge ability that I don't really care about. Medusan War Gear, +8 armor class, +8 attack. It is a weapon and shield. Again, Grimsteel, for the goodness that is Grimsteel. The King's Lady, the 4th edition MRP to this card makes it so this also gives you an extra swing, which is pretty freaking awesome. I think it's unique now too, so that's not as awesome, but whatever. Thunderhammer, an additional wound, and you can spend it to make range strikes. I mean, I guess it's better that it has it than it doesn't have it, but you're practically never going to be doing that. Like, you're probably better off just getting an extra strike from Grantuk. And then Al Holland Bramble. Weapon, +7 attack, which is pretty high. You can discard a card and spend this, and you target each character in an adjacent rank. And each target has to make a dexterity save, DC 10, plus this fighter's attack, or suffer a wound. This has actually been errated. It's no longer DC 10 plus, it's just the fighter's attack. However, most of the fighters in this deck, their attacks get so high that it's, practically speaking, it's roll 20s or die. Yeah, maybe not all the time, but enough times. So... So you have all these high-level weapons, and you can change this up in so many different ways. There's plenty of other things you can play in here. This is just what I have in here at the moment. The Holland Bramble in particular, I almost think I should be running 2 of these, because this is a way for you to very quickly, without having to build up all the tempo, without having to spend a bunch of actions, you can clear out a lot with an Holland Bramble. You can actually also return it to your hand by discarding 2 cards. I don't know if I've ever actually done that, but it's there if you need to. So... the dream scenario is you have a Scrap Golem, and you have any number of these, or all of these, preferably, on your Scrap Golem, and, you know, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it'd be +6 attack, armor class, and skill, plus whatever items you have on him, and you might be saying to yourself, Zach, you dusty old crow, what exactly are you going to do with the Scrap Golem with all these stuff on him? Because you can't, the cards are blanks. You can't even use Grantuk to get extra swings with them. And that's because we have no intention of having these Scrap Golem punch things. We are going to throw all this crap on him, have him geared out to hell, have him standing next to either the Warplow or the Blade Hag, kill him off yourself with the altar or with any number of other ways, and then play Passing the Mantle to throw all those items onto one of the other characters. This is so stupid until it's not. It's so dumb until it isn't dumb, and then it's like, huh. To be fair, that entire set of cards, what did I say, was it 6 items and the 3 Scrap Golems? I think this is 9 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh yeah, no, 9. This is almost certainly better off as other things. I think that Passing the Mantles are still actually good, even if you aren't doing this stupidity here, if you're just using these, because one of the problems, the Blade Hag, she gets her AC high enough that she's somewhat resistant to being punched to death. The Buzzsaw, no, like unless he gets the War Gear and the Storm's Regalia, like his armor class is not very good. So if you have him with a bunch of stuff, and again, one of the problems with the deck is its action economy is really bad. I really wish, I think it's called Overwhelmed. I think they banned Overwhelmed from Ancients, but this is what I would really love to play that in here, because even just spending, you know, I don't need more cards with Sathas, you know, I don't need Grantuk doing anything. Just being able to, even just 3 extra actions, just three extra actions of, you know, spend for my weapons, and then attack would be really nice. But you don't really have that, and Passing the Mantle can be a very effective way to when your buzzsaw dies, or even if one of the blade hags dies, like something stupid kills it, and you have a bunch of weapons on her, if you have the weapon, if you have another character, and it doesn't even need to be one of the 4th level ones, you can actually throw them all into Gunda if you need to, because passing the mantle says after one or more actions are discarded by from another character in this rank by an action or that character's death, equip those items to this fighter, ignoring level restrictions. So yeah, the level doesn't matter. So if you need, like, if you have nothing else to play, you can't put these on Gundas, assuming they haven't died. You could also, assuming he's not stunned, you could put these on strength too, and then they might really have a difficult time dislodging him if you can get his hit points up high enough. Although Scrap Golem ignores the traits, this does not, and so it's kind of a heads up whether you're going to do Grimsteel or Blade of Ceneri, and Strength wouldn't be able to equip either of those, so I don't know. I think these are still good, even again, just your guy died and you don't lose all the weapons, and it's at react speed, so if they all go onto the Blade Hag, you might be able to just really quickly just say, I'm not going to spend all these weapons, I'm just going to spend to attack, and yeah. So that is what we are doing. Again, the Scrap Golem thing, at the moment, the only way I have to kill him is with the altar. I believe I was running Ring of Piercing at one point as well, which did help, and that would pretty much go on Grantuk because nobody else can really equip it except maybe Sathusk. But yeah, it's really, again, it's really dumb until it's not dumb. Okay, I'm repeating myself. So, but because this is really stupid and because it's not super consistent, I have so much draw on here that it's far from unreliable. But I have had many games where it doesn't all come together. I'll draw all of the passing the mantles first, and I don't want them in my hand, so yeah. Really, I think you're probably better off going with some other characters who can equip multiple weapons, whether that's Seneval, whether that's Rangok, whether that's that Narawat guy. There's plenty of guys you can have. Because this deck doesn't really do movement, like, it's really hard to get some of these guys up front quickly. Again, especially the Warplow. Although, if you have the characters lined up in a row, the Warplow is actually really fast to get to the front. But I think you're better off playing Orjok and Strack. These are two Nothrog clerics. They're both druids. They both have ways to move other characters. Orjok spends to shove somebody forward. Strack, discard a card, target a siege you control within 2 ranks, move it forward, or it performs a melee strike. Both are good. Unfortunately, it can't move the Blade Hag with that, but because they're both druids, you can also play Tree Walk, and that can also be a really, really quick way to get one of your heavy hitters up front very quickly. And then I should go back to playing this was Achilles Slaughter, because they sprint to the front. I think I stopped because I had too many. This shouldn't really happen, but I was having too many games where I couldn't play it because Grantuk was by himself. He was like by himself in rank 3, and it's like, yeah, I can't do that. So, but I've played quite a bit since those days, so I should probably go back to playing that. But that is Grantuk Rageblade and the silliness that is hallmark of the decks that I play. So, yeah. Thanks for checking this out, guys. God bless you, and I will catch you in the next video.